Thank you, Dr. Webster. Minister of Finance, Secretary, Finance, Professor Stephen Oz of the Development Policy Center of the ANU, reps from the public sector as well as the private sector, and the learning institutions. I would like to, first of all, thank you for staging this program by NRI, Dr. Webster. I think it's very important. I also like to acknowledge the joint research work that is done by the National Research Institute and the university, the ANU, and Professor Hall's involvement, because we like to see this program gather ideas in such a forum to develop advice for government as to what we can do to improving the implementation aspect of the budget. I would like to go very briefly on from a Treasury perspective as to how we see the budget can be effectively implemented. I would like to outline at present the current economic outlook, what the economy looks like, especially in the global perspective as well as within PNG, a brief overview of the budget, the strategy applied, the key areas that we'd like to look at in the next 5 years, the fiscal strategy that's in place, and also the debt management strategy, so we do within those framework, and the priority reforms that needs to be done. Implementation cannot be efficient or effective if we fail to implement the reforms that must be done in the systems of delivery. What are the challenges that we face in the implementation process? And of course, the most important task that is before the government at present is to finance. And of course, you did hear this somewhat controversial idea about seeking the 6 billion kina loan from the Exim Bank, and there's pros and cons about it. What is the government's view? What is the position we've taken in financing? And of course, the disbursement of funds, our cash flow management, responding to the needs on the ground, and also subjecting ourselves to the revenue that we're collecting. And like Minister of Finance mentioned, the monitoring the systems and seeing what we have achieved at the end of the all works, and very important for us to make sure that we do implement and achieve the intended objectives, or else everything else will be just a waste. And some risks, and I'll just give a conclusion. Firstly, on the economy, I think on the chart, the economic outlook, I see there's a lot of positive as compared to the negative. In fact, I see many learned people and experienced people in the business of economy and finance have given us projections that I find very encouraging to PNG. In fact, recently we had a visitation to this to PNG by the Chief Executive Officer of the ANZ Bank, Mike Smith, and I had breakfast with him and the others at the Business Council organized a breakfast down at the Crown Plaza, and some of you would have been there. And he gave a very positive outlook of the PNG economy. And in fact, it is things like PNG could be the tiger of the Pacific in economic growth. And also he did mention that as against the Treasury's very conservative figure of economic growth at 4% this year, he said, you guys are going to be growing at 6%. So if a bank is saying 6%, and if I am saying 4%, and I feel it's good, it's also given an outlook, which I think is the same outlook that Treasury is also in the international global economic perspective. It says that the U.S. is turning around moderately, although the the growth in the economic growth is very moderate, but it is a positive gain. Whilst we continue to see some challenge in the European economies, especially where you find they're struggling to come out of it, the politics that is going on in there might set the focus in the next few months or 1 or 2 years to come. But when you look at the Asian region, Asia-Pacific region, China is picking up. There are some issues that the global leadership in economy and economists and political leaders have raised some issues against China's way of doing business. But it is turning around. Japan is peaking. Korea and India, the business is flourishing in this part of the world. And of course, Australia, our very strong and long-time development partner. Strategic Alliance is also doing some paper, has done some under the Julia Gillard government as to how Australia is positioning itself in terms of the very fast growth experience within the region as a result of the urbanization and development of the Asian economies. That brings us to the PNG economy. How do we position ourselves as a country, which I believe we're in the most strategic position with vast resources we have, and of course with other challenges that we still have to fight to surmount and to triumph over them. But I think Papua New Guinea, we look at ourselves in this region, we have projected a growth of 4% this year. In normal terms, we're looking at 8% growth. Next year, we believe we'll grow at 7% or 6-7%, and normally at 11% growth. And you come to year 2015, we're projecting that the PNG economy will grow at a nominal 29% or 26%, in real terms 20%, and that probably will be because of the influx of revenue from the sale of the first export of LNG project. And then, of course, comes down to a moderate growth for the next to last year. So that's probably the outlook of the PNG economy. And we also projected, and I'm very confident about these projections, because, again, like I've said, the Treasury has been very conservative on the figures that we give and the statistics that we depend on. We would like to grow out the size of the PNG economy at the current 33 billion kina to the next 5 years. By 2017, we'd like to see PNG economy grow by up to a 58 billion kina or 60 billion kina GDP growth. And of course, our debt probably will increase there, but within our debt management strategy, what we have done is that we like to stay below advisable levels from the advice we get from the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, when we put down. So what I'm doing, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Webster, is rather than going to page by page, probably the presenter can click on this, but I'd like to just give a summary because I know you've waited for me a long time already, and I don't want you guys to wait for me more. And my colleague minister already given you a detailed presentation on how we're going to do the implementation, but I'd like to go very briefly so you understand the government's management of the economy. I forgot what I was going to say. What the government has done is we've said, look, we must grow the economy by the next 5 years to a 58 billion kina, but within a very responsible fiscal framework. In PNG, when we say responsible fiscal framework, people don't believe us because they're saying, oh, this political pressures come on and we go haywire. But let me assure you, this time will not be the same. I will be very, very strict on the release of warrants. Minister of Finance, I'm very happy that in your presentation you've also mentioned that. And we will be spending within our affordability, within that fiscal regime. We cannot spend what we don't have. We cannot afford to do what we can do. But what we'll do is we will focus ourselves on those very important priority areas of government, 7 or 8 pillar policies that you see envisaged in the medium-term development strategy, in the National Development Plan, and we will target at those to making sure that we achieve the best out of the investment we put in those main areas. Other small areas, demands by the people, and so on and so forth, we have done so many times in the past. What has happened? For instance, the National Agriculture Development Plan, I was part of the previous government. You can blame me for that, but it's a learning curve. We put about 300 million kina, thinking that in the name of seed capital given out to people through the Department of Commerce and Industry, the money has gone to waste. While there have been some marketable achievements in some areas, but most has gone to waste. So we do not want to see such happen again. We will be targeting at those very important priority areas of government. And also, the debt is very, very important. We've, at the moment, a 8 billion kina debt, and we see in the next medium term, our debt will rise to 15, it may come to 15, 16 billion within the frame of the budget in the next 5 years at a targeted GDP growth that we'd like to see up to 58 billion. And we'd like to stay within our debt management strategy as per the Fiscal Responsibility Act. And we would like to keep it below 35% of the GDP of PNG. So these are the policies that we have laid out for the next 5 years, and we're working within that parameter. We will make sure that we achieve objective within the framework. So I'd like to give you the assurance that we will do our best, and we'd like to do quite differently. You can trust us, because we have done certain things differently now. You saw one-year budgeting. We have made it 5 years. You saw us not doing deficits. And some of you guys are scared. Why are you guys scared? It's like managing your own finances. Of course, if you want to grow and do something, you do want to borrow money from the bank, don't you? But within your means. The bank gives an assessment and says, of course, you bought the background to pay. Of course, we give you the loan. Now, PNG, we're not a country that is in the last past age. We are growing. We see the contemporary economic environment that is posed before us. And we are saying, look, we've got this capability. Now, we'd like to see the economic growth and sustain. With the LNG project, the activities are subsiding. We'd like to cushion that. We'd like to see employment maintained, or at least the shock that comes about to employment and economic growth is not as that impacting because of a sudden decline in activities at the LNG project. So the government must increase expenditure, and that is a thing that you've seen America doing that. Australians have done it. Europe has done it. Of course, in Europe, some are arguing that there should be austerity. But others saying, let's give more money to stimulate economic growth. PNC, in a moderate way, we have said, look, let's spend 2.6 billion kina beyond our revenue, but we can finance that and to stimulate that economic growth and cushion some of those pressures that come onto the economy because of the decline in the LNG project. So there you are. We have that. Don't be worried about the new innovative strategy that PNG is taking. We've never done it before. We're doing it now. But we're confident. We're very careful. Of course, sometimes as treasurer, I'm nervous. It's a new area. But the inside me, I'm confident, is for the people. The business in PNG must grow. The people must benefit. We must do within the rules that we've established. And I'm always communicating with IMF, with World Bank. Recently, I talked to the country representative on IMF. He came here recently. I talked to him. I'm meeting the ADB rep coming in next week. I'm keeping in touch with World Bank to make sure that we are not deviating away from this approved and the internationally accepted way of doing business. And I can assure you, PNG is on the right track. You agree? Well, you'll agree around this time. Next year, once we achieve the targets for you, I'm sure you will agree. I like to, we'll go to this chart. You'll find on this, you'll find a difference between the expenditures, 2012, 2013. You can see the difference there in the graphs, because the amount of money we are sending to the rural parts of PNG, especially to the sub-national levels of government, the local level government and the provincial governments and the districts, we've substantially increased the amount by 58% or 60%. It's low. For the first time we've done that. Why are we doing this? The O'Neill Dion government believed And I also believe with all heart in my heart that there must be cohesion with the people on the ground, the rest of the population, with the government's activity and the development agenda. And in order to have that cohesion, you have to make sure that people participate in nation building. The government can't do it alone. We cannot babysit them all the time. We cannot say you cannot do it because you have got this problem like governance issues and all that. Of course, we know those challenges are there. We can fix them. Problems are created by humans, and humans can fix those problems, unless those that are created by the nature. And we have confidence in our people. We have got a three-tier government system, and therefore we've got to recognize them by putting the money to those areas, and the money must be spent. We don't believe that government can do alone without the people at the LG and at the provincial level, at the district level. So that's why we've increased the funding there. Sometimes we attempted to say, oh, there's no capacity. Of course, the development partners are there. You'll come and give us the capacity. We're like the district consultants and support systems in all the province of PNG. That's what they're here for. Of course, we've got young people out there, the universities produce. And if I'm correct with the statistics, out of the 70,000 students that come out every year, well, 30 absorbed to the system, but 40 or 50,000 or so are left out there. What are we going to do with these children? We're going to come with some creative ways. But we're putting money there. Let's build a capacity. Let's work. Public service in PNG, don't tell me there's no capacity. You one person can do 3, 4 tasks like that. If Indians are doing, if Chinese are doing, if Australians have done it, if Singaporeans have done it, if Papua New Guineans, you have the capability, you've got intelligence and the wisdom to do. The district manager, you can become the roadside supervisor. You can also become the administrator. You can also become the coordinator. You can also become the clerk. You can also become the treasurer. Those jobs you can do. You agree? Of course. The world is now going to multi-skilled employability. To increase your employability, you've got to be multi-skilled. Otherwise, you say a little work and say, it's like you don't have the mind and the capability to do it. It's like undermining yourself. Oh, I cannot do anything else. I only can write the checkbook. That's my job. I don't think God gave you that's your only job. He gave you a lot of abilities. We can complement. We can build the capabilities. We have ourselves here to build this country. And we can do that. So we have confidence in our people. We have confidence in the government system. If you break the law is there. But sometimes the law is not working. Well, let's fix it and make it work, all of us. The others on the medium-term fiscal strategy, I've told you already. I don't need to go back to that. And of course, planning for the future, we've put a money, Mr. FAS, you just, yeah. I don't go too fast. I know you're going ahead. Yeah, okay. Sorry that I'm not going by. If you go one by one with the slides, I'll take your time. I'm just about to close now. For the website. Planning for the future is very important. That's why we put out this multi-year budget. Now, I'll have to look for the money to finance this budget. Our accumulated debt over the years stands at about 6.4 billion kina. This deficit will be 2.6 billion kina. So my task now on behalf of the Honorable government, with the support of the Minister of Finance, Planning, and other key ministers, is to raise about 6.4 billion kina to finance debts or deficits of the past accumulated plus the current. There's been a question, well, Don, you're supposed to be raising only 2.5 billion. You're going to raise 6.4 billion this year. Will that affect the debt management or the fiscal strategy? I'll tell you, it will not affect, because those are debts that were taken care of in the previous budgets, and they're within the envelope. But some you could finance them to get rid of them, to sort out the those areas. And I say, well, let's raise altogether 6.4 billion kina. But we're diversifying our financing strategy. We also see Exim Bank China as one of those possible places to go to, but they deal only with project financing. They don't do budget financing. My issue is to do with the budget financing. But of course, I've got delayed to a nudge-up section of the highway. We put some money in the budget that is there. And if Exim Bank want to do that project, under the request of Treasury and PNG government, we'll do so. And Minister Works is already working on that, and we can do that bit under the budget because that is within the fiscal regime. I cannot go beyond that. To do something else beyond that, it's going to be in the budget. If it's not there, it has got to wait, and we will do project by project. With the other strategies I'm applying, we're raising 1.6 billion kina within PNG's finance market. PNG doesn't have a big finance market, but we believe with the advice that we get from the governor of the bank and treasuries, the advice I get is that we can capably raise about 1.6 billion kina within. And that's the priority. I think it's already been, work has already been done, and we'll raise about 1.6 billion kina within the domestic industry. But we'll raise the balance of the 6.4 billion in the international bond market. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Webster, I believe that we have the liquidity there in the bond market from the advice again, and I'm confident with that. The American, the European, and the Asian markets will see if we can raise about $700 million US dollars, and I'm confident we'll raise that to finance our budget. I talked to the governor of the bank yesterday, and the day before yesterday I asked him, could you be able to, the next month, raise me 1.6 billion through TBs and IS, treasury bills and instruct stocks? And he tells me, yes, no problem, it can be easily done. We did that before, so it's easy. He raised 900 million for me for the cost overrun in the LNG project. So that's not a problem. We can do that. But also we do not exhaust it. So we will go diversify the strategy. The other thing that we're going to achieve out of this is that PNG is going to go out there and test the financial market out there. Let's show ourselves what we are. And see if we can do a bit of a sell of PNG as well. So that's the other objective. And finally, we'd like to attract investors into PNG as well. We'd like to grow PNG's capital market. We'd like to see what mostly the stock exchange and the companies that are here grow and expand and more investments to grow in the country. So by doing so, we believe that we'll also raise the profile of PNG. Though I am concerned about one thing, and that is issues with money laundering, issues with the PNG's credibility rate, and other things like this, and Treasury and our other development partners are working on this. And I'd like to tell you, we're very strong against any illegal activity of such nature taking place in PNG, because PNG is now coming out into the national scene. We are so exposed, and any one or two, even in the least small thing that happens negative to PNG can affect this whole strategy, can affect the country's progress. Therefore, we must feel ashamed to do that which is not straight. We have to do things straight all the time. Make it your own duty, your own moral obligation to always pursue correct way of doing business. You agree? I think I'll close now. I've talked too much. Disbursement of funds, ministers already given you as to how we're going to disburse the funds to all the districts, all the provinces. I've already issued some warrants already, and the warrants are already out. So we'll make sure that we are consistent with our what we're saying by making money available to the districts for implementation. And there were some meetings held by the national government and with the provincial governors in the past where they wanted to see, the governors especially wanted to see the national government giving more delegated powers and giving more resources down to the sub-national level. And this is something which we have done, and I think it's a move in the right direction, and we'll continue to do that. But very importantly, the management systems must be in place so that there's good governance and transparency. We must make sure that all of us are responsible. Rather than me going to other areas, probably I'll just touch this PNG Sovereign Wealth Fund only for interest, and then I sit down. PNG Sovereign Wealth Fund, it's a law already in place, as you know, and it's going to be independent, a fund that is independent, managed by an independent board, and we'll make sure it is directly tied into the budget of PNG, so it cushions any fluctuation that is brought upon the budget due to inflation or changes in the commodity prices. There's some policy decisions made by the government at the cabinet level, which we will be reflecting in an amendment that is forthcoming by middle of this year. So that I also like to mention to the business sector and all communities that this is a government that will be not being perfect. We will make mistakes, but we will do our best to make sure we have not lost any lesson that we have learned in the past, lesson that we've learned from corrupt ways, corrupt methods, lesson that we learned from not implementing economic policies properly, or not managing our funds correctly. We are very mindful of the lessons that we have learned. We don't want to go down the road again. We'd like to do something completely different, something new, that our future children can say, yes, our parents at that time have done as well, and we can be all proud of when we grow old. Yeah. So we are doing our best to do that, and I like to ask all of us to work together. And we believe in the private sector. We believe in the knowledge bank. I call it the knowledge bank because the institutions, they provided knowledge bank to us. And I'm a civil engineer. When the knowledge bank is there, as an engineer, go out there and apply and practically implement that. I've got a budget before me that I must implement, but I will need the support of NARI, the National Research Institute, the University of Papua New Guinea, UNITEC, PAU, National Agricultural Research Institute, the Medical Institute, all the institutes in this country. Although we might not have given the full support that the government should normally or should actually give, I like to tell you from my heart that we believe in you. I believe in knowledge. We believe in innovative strategies. We like to work as a team, not shoving down things down throats of people. We don't want to suppress our people. We like to hear. We like to see our ideas as representatives of the people. We like to get your views, put them together, and move forward. So this particular gathering jointly put by the Australian National University and Professor Oz and Dr. Webster, I'd like to commend you, both of you. I'd like to salute you because what you've done is the right thing. And this government is a government that's going to be more scientific and want to learn things from you, as well as want to learn new knowledge and ideas that you can present to us. So it's going to be a more knowledge-oriented government, but more pragmatic government to implement things that we put in the program. I will not do it perfectly. We're human beings. We need your help. But I'm sure we'll do it. You agree? Now you agree. Thank you.